And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Winston is here, laying on the couch right next to me. Hopefully he doesn't bark. And as always, serious talk on everything that affects you. And let me state from the outset, we're going to have a couple little changes in some of the sectors on this show. We'll do that in a little bit, but we have to do our take on the State of the Union last night. But first, in case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, the Morlocks in D.C. Look up Morlocks, the State of the Union address, and that farce last night. Scam, shams, corruption, you name it, we'll cover it. How's that? We'll cover it. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we will post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. And if you don't follow us on X, go ahead. You should just put our name in. We'll also post it on the YouTube channel of BizTV and other podcast apps and all that crap. Just so you know, the almighty, head honcho, top dog, big cheese, number one market cap stock in the market, NVIDIA, is reporting after the close. We have no idea what they're going to say. We have no idea how the market's going to react. But the semiconductors have been very, very strong and had another good day, and we'll have some things to say about that. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. I can't stand anybody in Washington, D.C. I think they're all self-dealers. I believe a lot of them are corrupt. I believe the president was right last night calling out Nancy Pelosi on insider trading. But coming from a president who is about as corrupt as we've ever seen, by taking in millions of dollars and then pardoning people because the family gave millions, he has no right to call anybody out. But that's on another front. So we had the State of the Union address last night. Terrific. Let me start by saying, whoever, away from the economy, whoever got in the president's ear, and had him hold the feet to the fire. As you know, we think this Democratic Party is illogical and insane, and make it easy for the Republican Party, who is terrible also. But by the way, to tell you how terrible the Republican Party is, they're going to lose the House come November. But I digress. Whoever got the president to hold their feet to the fire by saying, stand up if you are for Americans here versus illegal aliens. Now, we're not taking a side on it. We're just stating the Democrats all sat there with scowling faces off of that statement. Amazing. Whoever came up, and other presidents have done it, with the medals handed out to these wonderful men. I believe there was one woman who got one, if I'm not incorrect, should get a big raise. Why? Two reasons. Number one, that 100-year-old man. I'm thinking to myself today, this man, 100 years old, a brave soldier, who probably a lot of his family have already passed. I don't know where he lives and who he's with. He got to be in the Capitol. Millions and millions of people watched as he got the highest possible medal for his bravery, watching on TV and getting a long-standing ovation for our so-called leaders. I think that's freaking marvelous. But part of that also, unbelievably, some of the Democrats did not stand. Others did, but the illogic of these people, we already know the rest. We already know the rest. Opening the borders on purpose. Crime, what's that? Not saying a word about Jewish students being attacked and lives threatened on video in a bunch of universities. Proposing wealth taxes and unrealized taxes. They're still proposing a wealth tax in California. They're lunatics. They make it so easy for somebody like Trump who can't keep his story straight. The lunatics are lucky Trump has lost the independent vote because Trump has zero discipline and has not called me for advice. So I absolutely loved what they did with these soldiers, with the hockey team. I believe there was a young girl, I wasn't so big that was hit by a car by an illegal alien. You keep posting up because an illegal alien did that. Guess what? That's not good. No go. Get their asses out of here. But, gotta be careful about, I call it too muchism on it, but I digress. What else did I see? Afterwards, I got sent a video and I confirmed it on that insane network that pretty much they had hosts. I don't think they have hosts do that anymore. Had hosts telling you're racist 24/7. They had people on that said it was just showmanship, giving the medals out. And I'm thinking to myself, what a bunch of ass clowns. And they were laughing when they said that. That's the representative. Not everybody, but some of these people on the left are sick in the mind. Back to the president, because that's the most important. The problem the president has and why they're going to lose in November, the House, and possibly the Senate. I'm seeing some things in the Senate now. They may lose that too. He just never tells the truth. He just makes everything up. And unfortunately, and by the way, that's not even argued. I see people on TV that are pro-Trump pundits saying, yeah, we know he does, but he's a positive guy. And you can't lie to the American public constantly and expect good things to happen. Not about what they're paying at the supermarket or for this, that, and the other thing. So that's number one. That's just for starters. And I have to tell you, I get sent it all the time. All the time. People send me things. In the last year, just the last year, as the president is saying, oh, we've brought everything down in price. Frozen seafood up 9%, utility and gas up 9%, inpatient services 8%, funerals 6%, cigarettes 9%, watches 7%, women's outerwear 6%, jewelry 7%, candy and gum 7%, breakfast cereal 6%, bananas 5%, ground beef 17%, electricity 6%, audio. Do you get my point? Yet he's out there saying he's lowered all these prices. Well, he keeps referring to gas prices. Well, they have. You know what the problem is, though? In the last 7 weeks, oil prices have soared. Gas prices are ticking up again. Not by his hand, but they are. Up next, we'll put a big bow tie on this, hit the markets. We got some changes. We're waiting on NVIDIA. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So let's continue. And by the way, we take no joy on any of this. You know that, right? He said when he became president, we were a dead country. It's a lie. It's 1,000% lie. What does that mean, we were a dead country? It's a lie. We weren't dead. GDP was up. Inflation was coming down big. And you know where we think inflation was caused by? Jay Powell and about 20% Biden. But he's out there saying when we took over, inflation was 9. No, it was 3. We don't want to hear that. We were not dead. If anything, since he's taken over, the job market has headed south. The golden age. You can't look into the camera and say it's a golden age at 1.4% GDP. But when Biden had a 3, you said it was a depression. Independent voters cannot be swayed with bullcrap. And that's where he's lost the most. We already told you about Hispanics, and that's another story. With the videos of people dead, shot by ICE, and we're not taking a side, and sending all kinds of Hispanics to other countries that have been here 40 years and have families. And again, we're not taking a side. But back on the economy. The reason why, if Biden kept running, would have lost. Why Kamala Harris lost. People were exhausted and sick and tired of their lies and bullcrap. You got that? The border's secure. Up yours, Joe. You opened it on purpose. We got videos of airplanes flying into cities at 2 a.m. and you're offloading migrants into cities where it costs those cities billions of dollars. And putting them up in hotels, and people couldn't make any reservations anymore. Up yours, Joe. Kamala Harris, I wouldn't do anything different. People were exhausted. That's how Trump won. That's how somebody else in the Republican Party won. And President Trump, exact same thing. He's exhausting people. And people don't want to have to verify everything. He says, let me tell you what else he said last night. Amazingly so. The day before, and the day before, and the day before that, he admitted, because he could not back away, that our businesses and our consumers were paying for the tariffs. A big study came out, 90-some-odd%, while Kevin Hassett said the people brought out the study should be disciplined. He had to roll that back. So leading up to last night, he's finally admitting those lies, that the tariffs are paid by other countries. What does he say last night? The tariffs paid by other countries. You catching my drift? Now, I gather he'd be PO'd at me if I said all this to him, but somebody had better say this to him. So it was just a ton of lies on the economy. We weren't dead. We're not in a golden age. The job market is not great, even though it picked up in the last month. I'm hearing GDP was bad because of this and that. Well, the quarter before GDP was great because of this and that. I'm wishing him well. I'm rooting for him. The one thing he has done, which is just so magnificent, and he hasn't spent enough time on it, I would have spent an hour on it last night, is closing the border and saving lives. He touched upon it. Anyway, our motto stands. They all suck. And you know how we know that? During the 2 hours of his speech last night, our debt went up $500 million. What? Yeah, it goes up $6 billion a day right now. During $500 million of debt, they had to borrow $500 million in those 2 hours. Brought to you by all of them. And the longer they've been there, the more I loathe them. When I see Schumer there, I want to vomit. When I see Pelosi there, I want to vomit. When I see a Republican that's been there for several billion years, I want to vomit. Because they are the guiltiest. They are the most guilty. Anyway, that was last night. Wish I had more to tell you. By the way, President Trump lying is not unlike Biden, and not unlike Trump before, and not unlike Obama. The State of the Union is about them marketing their lies. They have all forgotten this country is great because of us and not because of them. All they're doing is putting us in more debt and 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 more debt, and they don't give a crap. As we wait for the NVIDIA earnings, which have not come yet. So we segue now. And by the way, I'm a Republican, but only because I get to vote in the primary. That's why. I went independent years ago when I saw what they were all doing. And now it's come out, Trump went after Pelosi and the insider trading thing yesterday. That was funny. Think about it. If I get non-public material information on a company and I trade on it, and somebody finds out, I'm indicted, I'm tried. If convicted, I go to jail. Them, they don't even get written up for an ethics report. Is that the way it's supposed to be? The leaders of this country are doing criminal acts that we would go to jail for, but they are okay? And they keep threatening to do something to stop them from doing it, but it never happens. Anyway, that was last night. I worked very hard today. I will work very hard tomorrow. All of you are going to wake up every morning trying to do better for yourselves and your families, trying to build great things, maybe become owners of businesses and hire people, maybe become multimillionaires, billionaires, whatever. That's the economy. Your waiters and waitresses that you don't get your food if they're not working. That's the economy. In D.C., I think they've all forgotten it. Up next, oh, right, Trump with the tips. The markets, lots to cover. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And let me repeat one more time. I wish, I absolutely wish I can come on this show and praise the hell out of them. I gain nothing. On this. But they have earned it. And I got news for you. I know a lot of diehards on both sides of the aisle that are thinking just like me. that have had enough, that have just had enough. And they figured out, because of my voice and others, they figured it out. What's going on? You hear what I said? $500 million was added to our debt in the 2 hours that he spoke last night. So he could have shot rainbows out of his butt, and I wouldn't have cared. Because until they do something and balance the books and do the right things, I've had enough of all of them. And I respect every single one of you. If you love them, like them, hate them, love the other side, like them, hate them, respect all your opinions. That was the State of the Union. By the way, the State of the Union, us, we're doing great. Always can do better. I think the biggest thing that needs to be taught for the most is the respect of the dollar. That's why I hate the proliferation of the buy now, pay later. The proliferation of everything is gambling now. Yeah, you see, everything is gambling. It's all gambling. It's all gambling. And prediction markets. Put down your money. Predict this, predict that, predict this, predict that. You know how much insider trading is going on with prediction markets now? Holy crap. Anyway, all right. While we're waiting NVIDIA, I got a few things to say. I want you to listen carefully. We have been very bearish on crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that. It started around early October, and it has done a classic bear market pattern all the way down. Back in mid-November into January period, the cryptos went flat after a drop and broke below that flat area, leading to another stiff drop. In fact, the IBIT dropped from 46.68 to 35.30 in pretty much one fell swoop. Over the last 2.5 weeks, it has put in another one of those ledges. In fact, could not even rally after a dumping. We're just going to make the statement, there is nothing 100%. Nothing 100%. We think today's move probably starts some sort of counter trend move, meaning it is so stretched and extended to the downside, it gets a point where sellers are just washed out. And buyers get the upper hand for now, and they rally it up into what we call the declining moving average. I think today probably, I'm not going past probably, started something to that effect. And I'm willing to say, I believe the lows of the last 2.5 weeks look like they're going to hold. For now. Not saying later. If at any time those lows are taken out to the downside, that leads to and invites more selling. That's the story. Of course, along those lines, you had MicroStrategy up today, Coinbase was up, Robinhood was up because they're kind of levered to the crypto. MicroStrategy has real leverage, so that was up about 7%. Coinbase was actually up about 12-13% today off of this move. So we start with the crypto, and again, 13.5% on Coinbase. Probably, when you're dealing with this thing that has no earnings, sales, product, or services, who the hell knows? We're doing this on a technical basis, so that's the crypto. We have been very bearish on software. Software also broke a bearish ledge 2 days ago on that nauseating 800-point Dow day. Probably, we get a counter trend of some whatever today. I say this for two reasons. Just like the crypto, very stretched, very extended, very oversold. Did I forget to mention a huge bout of bearishness? That's the sentiment part. And the 50-day moving average, which is norm to be hugging around or staying around, on the IGV, which is the main exchange traded fund, is at 95.77, with it at $80.67 at the close today. And by the way, that's after a 2.8% move today, almost 2.9. So probably we're going to get a counter trend. Microsoft was up 2.5% today. Actually, Oracle was on the disappointing front. Yeah, man. I'd like to say Salesforce.com was up $6 today, but it's down 7. It's down 8 in the aftermarket as they lowered guidance. You know, I better shut up about software with Salesforce.com lowering guidance. Maybe that's not going to help software tomorrow. Actually, I think overall, CrowdStrike was up 13 today, but again, CrowdStrike just dropped almost $90 in 2 days off of this artificial intelligence thingamabob, which we have been reading about, and all I can tell you, there are two very polarizing opinions out there that the artificial intelligence is not going to kill the goose in software, and then others saying, oh, yes, it is. We'll just pay attention to the stocks. We wanted to start out with these two areas first because we have been highlighting them on a daily basis to avoid. We're not telling you not to avoid anymore. We're just telling you it just feels like, looks like we may get some counter trend, but I have to repeat again, Salesforce.com lowered guidance and amazingly is down $7.50 in the aftermarket. And by the way, it just dropped from $269 to $192. So two very important areas. Let's go to number 3. As we await the head honcho, top dog, big cheese, NVIDIA. I mentioned Microsoft. So Microsoft was up 11 and change today. It is down $1 in the aftermarket because of Salesforce. What other big ones made moves? That's up next on Investor's Edge. Next point, and I don't know if we're going to have the NVIDIA numbers by the time this show is over. You will have to check it out yourself. As you know, the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ 100 have done nothing since early October. Nothing since early October. 0. And we believe a lot of that is because these mega cap stocks have been really dead and weighing down. Well, today, Broadcom up 8. Well, Salesforce isn't going to be good news. Microsoft up 10. Meta up 14. Meta has been brutally bad also. Netflix was up almost 5 today. Netflix is in the midst of looking to buy somebody, and supposedly that may not happen, and that helps the stock out if they don't end up buying them. So Netflix had a good volume day, maybe turning the corner. Tesla was up 8. That's been dead also. If all these big names just get some counter trends, that will help NASDAQ 100 make some sort of move. Today, they moved let me just say today, they held the last 2 to 3 weeks after teasing. I will tell you, a couple of days in the last 2 weeks looked like we were going to crack again. It looked like we were going to crack again. Look, Monday. Well, we down 350 at one time, closed down 250 on the NASDAQ. Anyway, we moved a little bit above, but right in the middle of the range now. And we'll see what happens. NVIDIA has reported. I've got it this second up $5 in the aftermarket. Do I have that wrong? I'm going to take that back. $5 in the aftermarket. That's good news. NVIDIA did edge above a little range today. If it just up a little bit tomorrow, that would be good news. And of course would not hurt big tech and semis and all that crap. But I will tell you, the last earnings report with NVIDIA, it gapped up and had the worst reversal I've seen in a long time. By the way, I'm looking at the numbers. They did not beat by much. But they see revenues better than expected for the quarter they're in by about anywhere between 5 to about 8% better than expected. So far, good news. I will tell you that the NASDAQ 100 is up, I would have thought more, $2 in the aftermarket. We'll take it. But let me repeat, that can change pretty quickly. But so far as I am watching, it is a little higher now. Good news. And NVIDIA may be a nice little technical move above and a buyable move tomorrow, depending on where it opens. It is now up. I got it about $7 in the aftermarket. Did it close at 195.56? I am looking. It's up about $7 in the aftermarket now. So good news. We'll take it. Damn, we'll take it. Because I got to tell you, 4.5 months of nothingness in the big indices. By the way, this is inclusive of the S&P. The S&P has done nothing. You don't go back to early October, you go back to mid-October. S&P has done nothing. The best areas have been foreign markets and some selective areas. So that's the story. Some changes today. If NVIDIA holds up, that should be good for the open tomorrow. in the semis and things like that. Probably helps the crypto also. There's a component there, I think, of froth. But it's a long evening. It's a long evening, ladies and gentlemen. There were some other things that happened today. They bounced the financials. They were very overdue. They slaughtered a bunch of them. They bounced them. The big banks were hit recently, especially Monday, but they never got killed. They had a good day, but they're just range-bound going back. I can tell you JP Morgan is range-bound going back to July. Goldman has been the one we watch most because it has the big influence. It's range-bound going back to mid-December. 2 months. With some wild swings also. What's next? You got me. But the semiconductors today were strong. They were edging out of range. If NVIDIA sticks the landing tomorrow, that'll further that move. And we'll see what happens. When you do your scans tonight, go look where the SMH and the SOXX finished. Go look at where they are in the aftermarket a little bit more. If that sticks, we're going to have another leg up in the semis, and I'm not so sure that's bad news. Remember, there's a lot of bad areas. The software and the crypto we covered, this is counter trend moves. These are not breakouts into new highs and ascending. But if some of the worst areas rally, puts a little floor underneath and maybe get things going. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. Boy, I'm glad NVIDIA came out. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Always appreciate you listening. Until tomorrow. Good night.